Havasu City. I'm Mayor Cal Sheehy, and welcome to Coffee with the Mayor and City Manager. We're also joined with Vice Mayor David Lang. Good morning, Vice Mayor.
Good morning, everyone.
And we're also joined by Representative Leo Biasi. Good morning, Leo.
Good morning, everybody.
And good morning, Jess. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, good morning. Merry Friday.
So generally, with Coffee with the Mayor and City Manager, we're in a large room with several of our citizens. We basically give an update about what's happening in Lake Havasu City, and then we open it up to questions and answers from the audience on any of the topics we talk about or anything really that's on your mind. We'll do that same format here this morning. We'll get into hot topics of the city, and then we'll open it up for questions and answer those throughout this morning. But first, we want to talk a little bit about the response to COVID and give an update on what has been happening. We invited Representative Leo Biasi to join us this morning. His leadership, along with Representative Cobb and Senator Borelli, have really helped lead the way for Mojave County as we are getting ready to reopen our businesses. So I'll turn it over to Representative Biasi if you want to talk a little bit about what you've been doing on behalf of the citizens of Mojave and La Paz counties, Representative Biasi.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it, and thank you, everybody, for being on. I'll try to be quick. So, as you all know, this has not been an easy last few months for anybody. You know, this is all new to each of us. You know, how to navigate through this and what to do, what not to do. So, I just want to thank everybody, all the residents, for doing your part, because it really was vital in us being at the point we're at now. And, you know, for me as a rep, it was difficult because, you know, in March, we had to close down, and then we came back and finished some business in May to make sure we had some money set aside to handle COVID. And since then, we haven't been in session. So really for Sunny, Gina, and I, it's been about helping our constituents on a one-on-one basis. You know, there's been an issue with some unemployment claims. You know, obviously these claims have skyrocketed since COVID. So they're overwhelmed, and I know people are struggling on getting money. So we've been working on that to make sure people are getting their money, trying to stop evictions, helping businesses. You know, this was something that really hurt so many people in Arizona, especially Mojave County. So we were trying to do everything we can at the state level to make sure that our constituents were taken care of, and we did that with the help of Lake Havasu, with the mayor and vice mayor and Jess and everybody there. We thank you guys all for always being a phone call away, because a lot of people you know, came through you guys, that you had you knew people had issues and you reached out to us, and vice versa. So it was definitely important. But to make a long story short, I just want to say how exciting it is that we've reached the moderate level, and we were able to reopen on Thursday. And just so people have a quick background, what needed to happen, we had to fall into the moderate category on 3 specific categories. And that had to do with cases per 100,000, % positivity, and then the hospital visits. So we were able to get to that on Thursday, which allowed those businesses that were shut down completely to reopen in a certain capacity. So restaurants, bars the bars that are open have to have food. That is a stipulation. Gyms, movie theaters, and they all have to follow their certain guidelines to be open. But you know, I just want to say that it's exciting for this day to happen, because, you know, the mom and pops, they're the backbone of our state, of our economy, and nobody wants to see them shut down. I mean, you know, it's probably the most tragic thing out of all this. I mean, aside from the deaths that we saw from COVID, was the businesses that had to shutter. So it's exciting to see them back. And you know what? I think we're going in the right direction. And again, I thank everybody for being part and taking their part and doing their part and making it happen.
Yeah, thank you, Leo, for that. And again, thank you for the leadership and the team that you, Representative Cobb, and Senator Borelli make really help represent us. And you've really led the way with stakeholder meetings at the state level for the guidance and to get to reopen these businesses. A lot of folks think that the counties and the cities have closed these businesses for some other reason, but they're all closed under the governor's executive order until we're able to reopen. So really your efforts at the state level with the governor's office and also the Arizona Department of Health Services is very helpful. So you did mention that some of the businesses are reopening and they have to reopen with pretty strict guidelines that they attest to through an attestation form, which require occupancy limits, face coverings or masks when we're in the business, sanitation, symptom checks, all of these different things. So we just remind folks to be kind when you are frequenting these businesses. They're just trying to stay open and trying to find the right rules and follow the guidance from the Arizona Department of Health Services. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that, Leo.
Yeah, and you made a good point there. I mean, I hope everybody understands that, like I said before, this is new to everybody. We've never been down this road before. So there's going to be some, trial and error when these businesses open. A lot of different guidelines they need to follow. So we just ask everybody, when you go into these businesses, just be patient, understanding that, this is new for everybody. They got to figure things out. And in time, they're all going to, be where they need to be and make sure they're following protocol. But there are certain things with occupancy, with, like you said, with wearing masks. Those are all things that each business needs to follow. And that's on the AZ DHS.gov website. So every business knows exactly what they need to follow. So like I said, it's more important that they're open and they're generating revenue again and people can go out again. I mean, that's it's exciting to see these businesses open in people's faces, and being able to see people in person is incredible. So but like I said, just, I know there's, I don't really agree with it, but there's a rat line that was, pushed out by the health department. And I just want to encourage people, before you go down that road, just like I said, understand these businesses are trying everything they can to stay open and do the right thing. And fortunately, they're giving them 2 or 3 chances to make sure they comply. So it's not like, if they do something wrong, they're going to be shut down immediately. And I think that's important because, like I said, we all need to kind of navigate through this. And the point is making sure we stay open safely and not just shut down again. So.
Thank you. And as part of the mitigation strategies to get where we are today, to even move to moderate, was some of the suspensions or pausing of these businesses, as the governor mentions, and a face covering or a mask proclamation, which was extended in Lake Havasu City till October 15th. And I know Representative Biasi and Representative Cobb and Senator Borrelli don't agree with it and have asked that we monitor that regularly and take a look at it. And I've agreed to do so based on the reopening and getting folks there. Really, where the extension came in place last week when the decision had to be made, we weren't sure if we were going to be able to get to moderate today. And if we weren't able to get to moderate, yesterday on Thursday, it then would be 2 more weeks before we would be able to see those positive cases where we were able to reopen. And then from there, give kind of a period of time to see if there's a rise or a spike because of that. But as you mentioned, Representative Biasi, everyone's doing their part, and all of these different mitigation strategies have helped get us where we're at. And let's just push over the line. And once we get our businesses reopened and our students with the option for in-person learning, we can obviously start lifting that a little bit. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about that. I know you and I've had some conversations about that, Representative Biasi.
Yeah, and Mayor, I do appreciate you taking the time to sit with us. And if you and I agreed on everything, then my fiance would be a little concerned and probably jealous that you and I are agreeing on everything, and her and I still have our arguments. So that's just something with the mask. I mean, I will sit here and tell you that I'm not against masks. I think they are important, and just the difference of opinions whether they should be mandated or recommended. But regardless, I think everybody needs to understand that if you feel safe wearing a mask, do so. If you feel safe staying at home, do so. I mean, this is something to where if we feel sick, stay at home. I mean, these are all things we still should continue to do regardless if we're open or not. And that's the important thing, is that we still got to take our precautions and do what we need to do to make sure that the numbers stay low. Because we don't want to, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want us to shut down again. I never want us to go through what we just went through for 6 months. And I think we all can agree on that. And we can all agree on we need to continue to do what we need to do to make sure the numbers stay low. So, yeah, with the masks, that's, like I said, just something that we see differently. But I think you and I both agree that, we're all just trying to do what's best for the constituents and give them the best advice and recommendations to stay safe and stay healthy. And so, regardless, I just appreciate that you took the time to sit with us and talk about it. And I think being the mayor, this is something that you think is best for the city, and I respect that, and I think that the people will understand that as well.
Thank you. And regardless of a local mask proclamation in really any city in Arizona, because of the reopening and the attestation forms and the requirements from the Arizona Department of Health Services, regardless if there was a proclamation or not, many of these businesses would still be requiring face coverings or masks for their employees and or their customers or guests or whoever may be coming in there. So it's important to know that even if a local proclamation were to go away, that doesn't mean that the face coverings will be going away, because these businesses still have to live up to whatever they attested to with the Department of Health Services.
Correct. Yep, that's absolutely right. And and this is something that the businesses have agreed to do if they wanted to reopen. So, and that's, I think the argument was from the beginning was, from my perspective, and I know Gina and Sonny's, we've always felt that it should have been up to the businesses to decide if they wanted to require masks or not. And it would have been wise. I mean, right? You want to, as a business owner, you want to make sure your place is safe and healthy, and that's how you make sure customers feel safe coming in. And so it would be wise to make sure you take all the precautions. But you are correct. I mean, the assertion form states that they must follow those guidelines. And one of them being that, masks should be worn when you walk in. When you're at your table, you can take it off, obviously, and employees need to be wearing them. But bottom line, we just need to continue doing what we need to do to keep these numbers low. And let's just, let's get our economy back up and running. And I think the faster we get there, the better.
Yeah, agreed. Well, again, thank you so much, Representative Biasi, for your leadership, and I look forward to our continued partnerships into the future. Thanks for joining us for a few minutes this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you guys again for having me. And hopefully I'll be back, with some more updates once we get closer to session, and kind of give you an idea of what we're hoping to do once session starts, and get us back to where we need to be.
Excellent. We look forward
to Leo.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, we'll move on to some of the things that Representative Biasi had mentioned can be found on the Arizona Department of Health Services website. And so I'm going to share my screen and just walk through some of these things so everybody can see exactly how that looks. Is my screen on there? Perfect. All right. So the area we go and look for information to see when we move different ranks. So when we were at substantial spread on Wednesday, moving over to moderate spread on Thursday, allowing these businesses to open in a modified fashion, is you go to the general info about COVID-19 there on the left-hand side. You'll get to this page, scroll down just a little bit, and then you go all the way to the right-hand side to the business dashboard. You click on business dashboard, and then scroll down. And the guidance that Representative Biasi mentioned for each individual business is located here in this area. So you can download for indoor gyms and fitness center, restaurants and bars providing food, bars and nightclubs, indoor theaters, water parks, and tubing. When you click on those various links, it'll pull up some information that talks about the spread and the requirements for that particular industry or segment of the business. It talks about the minimal spread, moderate spread, and substantial spread, and what the requirements are. It then gets into some specifics as you get down lower on what each of the community spread level, what is required. So hand and hygiene and respiratory etiquette, enhanced cleaning, proper ventilation, symptom screening, so on and so forth in this particular instance. So that is where that information can be found. If you scroll down just a little bit further, and you'll see the gray map of the state of Arizona, it shows right now that business opening is in minimal right here with the 3 different benchmark data as Representative Biasi mentioned. So the cases per 100,000, the percent positivity, and then the hospital visits and COVID-like illness as the 3rd benchmark. So you can see for the state level where we're at doing well and seeing a downward trend, but you can click on the individual counties. So we'll click obviously on Mojave County. and it'll talk about where we are at. And this information is updated every Thursday on a 12-day lag, but Thursday morning around 9 a.m. And we can take a look at that. We need to have 2 consecutive weeks of progression, which occurred this time, which allowed us to move again from substantial to moderate. But a lot of people ask where that data comes from and how it is. You can monitor it right here and see in real time what it is. This website has tons of data available for everybody to go on to and take a look and really understand where it's at. But it's a question we get often, so I wanted to just spend a couple of minutes to talk about that and show our citizens how they can take a look and find where those data points are. We also, stop sharing my screen now, we'll get back. We also have, as part of this, some Blitz testing. And Jess, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming opportunities with that.
Yeah, so we did have a Blitz testing was it last weekend or was it 2 weekends back? And we did North Country Healthcare provided Blitz testing, and that was over at the Aquatic and Community Center. And we had about 50 people that registered, but about 35 that showed up. And so 35 of those tests were administered. With those tests, we received two positive results. So that was good news in terms of positivity rate. And then we have another event that's coming up. And these events are scheduled with tests that are distributed by the state of Arizona. And so there'll be a testing event in Bullhead City and Kingman, and obviously here in Lake Havasu City as well. And our event will be over the course of 2 days. That'll be on the 13th and 14th of September. And that's going to be from 7 a.m. till 11 a.m. And it'll be hosted at the Lake Havasu City Aquatic and Community Center as well, too. There'll be up to 500 tests for each day. So a total of 1,000 tests for this Blitz event. You can register, you don't have to. You can sign up whether you show symptoms or you just want to get that test. So it's an opportunity again to get out there and get tested. And these Blitz testing events have a direct correlation with the positivity rate in Mojave County, as well as obviously Lake Havasu City, which of course is dependent upon the businesses and opening in Lake Havasu City as well too. So it's Mojave County Public Health is organizing the event or helping us with the coordination of the details. If you want to contact them with more details, that's 928-718-4909. Again, so that's September 13th and 14th from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. And it'll be at our community center off of Park Avenue. So encourage folks to show up and take a test if they are so inclined. And most importantly, it's free. There's no charge for the test whatsoever.
Great, thank you. Mm-hmm. Working hard on getting testing opportunities available to our citizens. You can go to our website, lhcaz.gov, and you'll see the COVID-19 banner at the top. Just click on that. It'll give you all of the testing options that are available. If you're a provider and you provide testing and are not listed, just let us know. We'll get you updated. But we now have regular testing. We have rapid testing available in Lake Havasu City, the Blitz testing that Jess talked about. And this afternoon, I meet with ASU to talk about saliva-based testing, which is a new way that they're doing some testing. So we'll have all testing opportunities available. But again, you can visit lhcaz.gov, click on the banner for COVID, and you'll be able to see the city's response to COVID and also great resources that are available for folks on data and testing and the like. So now, as part of our COVID response, we set up the LHC Resource Alliance, and Vice Mayor David Lane is our liaison for that. He's been doing a fantastic job working with the partnership organizations, and very grateful for the partnerships that we have with the Lake Havasu Area Chamber of Commerce, the Better Business Bureau, the Havasu Community Health Foundation, and River Cities United Way, working in tandem with Vice Mayor Lane. So Vice Mayor Lane, if you want to give us an update about the great work you guys are doing.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good morning, everyone. The LHC Resource Alliance is very, very busy right now. At the last coffee with the mayor, I gave you an update there, and we have some new numbers now. To date, we have 220 businesses and local residents that we've been able to help with $53,000 worth of grants that have been awarded. We still have some of those dollars left to help out those residents. And then we also have another pot of funds. The city council at the last city council meeting approved $250,000 worth of CARES Act dollars that the city received. And we finalized all of the application process for that this week. We have had 11 businesses reach out to us saying that they need some help. Several of them have submitted the applications. The deadline for that is today. For next week's grants, we'll actually be writing the first checks next week and going over the applications on Tuesday to see who we can help and what kind of dollar amount we're looking at. With all the help that we need, $250,000 has to be stretched out over a lot of businesses. So, but we are helping. The food bank continues their home delivery services for those that are shut in. We're up to 50 now, and we're at about 59% more food going out this year during the same time period last year, and that's from March until now. And we have some really good success stories. If you go on River Cities United Way, they're actually some of the people that we're helping are posting testimonials about how they're being helped. And one of them was a veteran who needed some help paying his bills. He suffers, according to him, some anxiety issues, and he has a hard time dealing with some of the stress that this is causing him. And we were able to pay some of his bills for him and to help him with that, so he can keep the lights on and the water running and all that kind of stuff. And then I just heard of one this morning, another success story. A young lady's going to do a testimonial. Her and her 2 children were on the verge of being evicted from their home. I know that the governor has said there's a moratorium on evictions, but you still have to pay your rents, and there's still some other issues about that, and things have to be COVID related. But anyway, we were able to help pay her rent, and so she's not being evicted. And so those are the things that we're doing to help people across the board with food, with mental health issues, and with the rent. And now with the businesses, we're going to be able to give some grants. These are not loans, these are grants. So helping people across the board to get through this COVID, because the economy's being hurt, the people are being hurt. You know, we talk about the economy like it's all out there by itself, but what that really relates to is people and their businesses being shut down and unable to pay their bills and put food on the table. So we need to get things moving so we can get the people moving, and people want to be able to take care of themselves. They look towards the government when they need help, but when they don't, they want to help themselves. They don't want to rely on anyone else. And so we need to help them do that so that they can get back on their own 2 feet. And we're here for them. So if you know somebody that needs help, or if you need help, or if you want to donate, you can do so by going on the city's website, clicking on the COVID-19 button. You'll see a list of the agencies that the mayor spoke about. And there's phone numbers and links to all of those agencies, so you can make a donation if you want, or to fill out an application to get the assistance. We want to see everybody come out of this happy, healthy, and whole. You know, you can read the comments that are coming through already. People disagree with some of the mandates that the governor has put out, the mask mandate that the mayor has put out, and the fact is, nobody's agreeing on this. It's more harm is being done just from people disagreeing and not being able to come to a consensus, but expect us to please everybody. Whether what side you're on or the other side, somebody's going to be unhappy no matter what decision is made. So those of you that think the mayor shouldn't have mandated masks, you're very unhappy with the mayor. Those of you that think he should have are very happy with the mayor. If he goes the other direction and lifts the mandate, those that want the mask will be very unhappy, and those that want him to lift it will be very happy. So we can't even come to an agreement as a city. We back our mayor's decisions. We hired him to make these tough calls, and hopefully we'll get through this sooner rather than later. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to head up this Resource Alliance and to help the people of this community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor Lane. And we appreciate all the work that you're doing. It's amazing what the Alliance is doing and how quickly they were able to evolve. When we first set this up back in March, it was to really come at COVID, which we didn't really know much about at that time, from all fronts, from the health front, from the business economic standpoint, and from a grant assistance type of a standpoint, and then the food and whatnot. So it's now been able to evolve and be able to help citizens as COVID has moved through communities at different paces. So fantastic partnership with the organizations and with your leadership, Vice Mayor Lane. Again, I'm very grateful for that.
One more thing I'd like to put out, and that I didn't mention, is the Main Street Matters grants through the Better Business Bureau. There have been 10 grants awarded to our local businesses, and that is still open through December. So if you are a local business and you do need assistance, not only can you apply through us, but apply through the Better Business Bureau and get see if you can qualify for one of the Main Street Matters grants.
Excellent. One other area in this kind of subject is also at our last council meeting, the council adopted a resolution to suspend our park fees, which were allowing our fitness centers, gyms, and the like that at the time were closed under the governor's executive order, and now today can be open at a modified rate to use our parks and park services at no cost to be able to provide our citizens with healthy alternatives to working out and fitness and exercise, and also allow those businesses to hopefully make some revenue to be able to continue to move forward as they provide those types of services to our citizens. You know, we've heard from many citizens about gyms and fitness centers and the importance to the mental health of our citizens. I could not agree more with folks that gyms should be open. And again, with the leadership of our delegation with Representative Biasi, Senator Burrell, and Representative Cobb, we worked really hard to segment out different businesses instead of having everything thrown into one bucket by industry and a widespread stroke to close all of these businesses down. It's different in Mojave County than it is in Maricopa County, than different in Pima County. It's just they're different, and we made some headway, not as much as we would have liked, but nonetheless, at least our businesses are open at some pace. So that parks resolution was supported by the council and is in effect until the end of the year. So, and we'll continue to review that as well. So if that wasn't enough, we still have other things that are going on in the city. So we'll move on to general updates of what other things are happening in the city. One of the hot topics that we've been talking about for about 24 months would be the positional analysis and what that looks like to be able to ensure that our team members here at the city are paid a competitive market wage, and there's a pathway for them. So Jess, I'll let you talk about kind of the system, where we're at, and some of the discussions that have been going on related to the positional analysis.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. The conversations we've had over the course of several years, and last year we committed to a contract with a consultant to come in and help us with positional analysis. And the goal there is to look at market wages for our employees. And again, as we talked about in the past, the goals are to attract and retain the best and brightest employees, and then look at morale and making sure that we have those things in place allows us to provide better services to the residents. And so we worked very hard in terms of trying to put together a plan. We have a very the plan that's been in place with the Havasu City it hasn't been touched comprehensively like this for about 15 years. And there's a lot of quirks within our pay scales. So we have, as a city, we employ police officers and firefighters, employees, payroll, employees, IT folks. So all have a different role within the organization. All provide a critical service, not to just the organization, but to the community as well too. So we're trying to the best we can to work with moving forward, to work with the departments to identify a plan that is going to allow us to do just what we're trying to accomplish. Again, market wages. And then with the goal of the attraction and retention of our best and brightest employees. We held a work session last week, and council gave direction to staff to implement a pay structure that's going to look at the needs of each department specifically, and as well look at implementing a step plan within the organization. So staff has got direction, and we're working along those lines right now to accomplish that, and hopefully we'll have something, or we will have something implemented. The target date the council gave us was the first week in October, so that's the date that we're targeting, and we will be able to implement that as scheduled.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you for that up. And we also have been working with the courthouse. It's been a priority of the council for a couple of years now to find a courthouse. Just by way of history, we had a consolidated court system in Lake Havasu City. We basically were consolidated with the Superior Court, the Justice Court, and then the Municipal Court, which is the city's court. And as of August 31st of last year, so August 31st of 2019, we had a deconsolidation of the courts. And the reason that that occurred is the growth of the court system didn't allow for us to be able to provide all of those services to our various constituents or customers to those various different arms of the court. It then became apparent that we were going to need some space. So we were working with the county to look at building onto another location, partnering in another way, looking at vacant buildings, looking at building a building here on the City Hall complex, which there is land and space available for that. And we've been looking at all different options for what that might look like, even to the tune where we have $7.5 million in our current CIP budget budgeted for a municipal. Now, our CIP budget is a 5-year plan is what is approved there. And again, $7.5 million it was budgeted in that current one that's approved today. There was an opportunity with land on Acoma, 92 Acoma, which is the former Havasu Fitness building that became available, and the city was able to purchase that building to put and house the new municipal court. It'll be a little bit of time, but we did close on that building. The end outcome of that is it's adjacent to City Hall, where folks can literally just walk across there, use our shared parking facilities. Our city attorney's office and prosecutor's office is located at City Hall, so they'll just be able to make a quick walk across the parking lot to court. And it also allows us to unify as a city with having all city employees up in the same area. But the best part about this transaction is it's going to save taxpayers about $3 million from what's already budgeted today. That includes the purchase of the land and then also tenant improvements that are going to be necessary to convert that into a courthouse. So that action occurred recently. Just, I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit. I know I got the highlights, but I don't know if there's any other detail points you want to talk about.
Yeah, no, as you indicated, with council's approval, we closed on that property just a week ago today, just last Friday. So I'd like to make mention that both Jack and Dale, the owners of Havasu Fitness and that property, are wonderful. They've really put together a top-notch service for the community for many years, and looking at retirement now. And the things they've done for Havasu over the course of their stay here in Havasu has been fantastic. The ability to work with them on this deal was nothing short, again, of just wonderful. So just really kind, considerate, fantastic people. So I want to put that out there as well too. Moving forward, we're going to have to decide the how we're going to look at the renovations, and we'll take that to council and have a public conversation and get feedback from the public. Do we want to move forward with renovations in this fiscal year, or do we want to look at programming something in the budget for the following fiscal year? So those are some of the decisions that are coming up. I'd love to go through a design process so we can identify the estimated costs for the renovations. And again, the concept here is for a courthouse, as well as a council chambers that we can use for dual purpose for a courthouse or a council chambers. So whenever we can save space or share space, then there's some cost savings that are tied to that. So we'll go through that process, identify those costs, and then look at what we can do internally just to save some dollars with our expertise that we have on staff. And we have a lot of expertise on staff when it comes to construction, renovation, and really some creative and fantastic people. So we'll look at all those things and try to build the best product we can with the least impact to taxpayer dollars.
Excellent. And again, this item came before council. So Vice Mayor Lane, I don't know if you have any thoughts about the transaction.
Thank you. No, I believe that moving forward, we're saving. Yes, we have to spend more money, but we're saving money. If that makes any sense. So I think it was unfortunate that we had to that we lost the business, but I think it's very fortunate that it was adjacent to our current building, and that we'll be able to move forward. Yeah, we don't have a courthouse. I've read comments. Why don't we have a courthouse? or why don't we just upgrade the current courthouse that we have? We don't have one. We're renting space from the county, and we're giving the county money every year. And this way here, we'll be in charge of our own destiny, and we'll be saving the taxpayers money in the long run. So I believe that, it was an unfortunate circumstance for one of our business owners, but a very fortunate circumstance for the taxpayers of the city.
Thank you. And with the new courthouse, right now we have access to basically one courtroom over at our rented space with the county. This will allow us to have the proper amount of courtrooms that is necessary to be able to fulfill the needs in the cases that come through. But it also will allow the court, should the resources become available, to be able to expand and offer unique court programs. Our magistrate, Mitch Kalali, is working with the Veterans Treatment Court, which has been a fantastic program with a very low recidivism rate. Also our youth court that we have some really great programs that can be expanded to ensure that we can get repeat offenders through the system in a way that would hopefully make sure they don't offend again in the future. So there's lots of programs that could happen once we have the proper space. Again, that's going to take additional resources and conversations with the community and also the judge, but good things on the horizon on that front when it comes to the court. Another big action since we met last in coffee with the mayor and city manager is the PMG rezone in the center of Lake Havasu City, which is the former Kmart Plaza. That was a very lengthy conversation, which rightfully so. It's right in the heart of our downtown community and so important to what we all have grown up with and used over the years. And so we had a very lengthy conversation with the new developers, the Partnership for Economic Development, and what the use would be. Ultimately, the council approved the action 7-0 with several conditions that were brought through the Planning and Zoning Commission, that the area remains and looks like a retail center. And so it still has that with some additional upgrades. So it looks good in that neighborhood. No noise, no smells, none of those types of things. I had the opportunity this week to tour the facility and see some of the state-of-the-art equipment that's coming in that they'll be using in their processing. So I'm pretty excited about the jobs that it's going to bring and the opportunities that are going to be available for our citizens and the economic impacts of this with little impact to that neighborhood. Vice Mayor Lane, I know that was a lengthy conversation. I don't know if you have some things to share, and then we'll turn over to Jess to talk more from a staff perspective.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, there was a very lengthy conversation. I spent several days talking to the community. I walked around, spent a day with the local business people on that block there, talking to them. There were some that were very much for this it's a rezoning, but it's a lot of people think that we took a zone from a retail to a light industrial, and that's not what happened. We went from a commercial medical to a commercial medical plan development with a special permit. So talking to the business owners, some of them were really for this because they felt that there wasn't going to be any retail going in there. You talk to the property owner about what kind of retail could go into that business, and he hired a marketing company to try to market that business. And he talked to places such as Target or Best Buy or these other different companies that we would all like to see come to town. And these companies said, no, they're not going to come here. They're not building brick and mortar retail stores right now with the economy the way it is and with the population that we have. They don't want to do that. So what do we do? Do we leave a building empty and it becomes a blight on our downtown area, or do we put something in there that is going to create jobs? And I think that's the reason it went to a 7-0 vote. If you look at some of the other retail places we have around town that have been empty for years and years and years, we did not want that to happen. But I talked to a lot of the residents. There's some condominium complexes that are adjacent to this, and I spent several days knocking on every door in those complexes. And I got a wide variety of people saying things. Some said, yes, we really want this here. We really want these jobs. Other people are saying, no, we don't want this. But the majority of the people of this town want the high-tech jobs, and they saw this opportunity, and they wanted us to move forward with this, and made some people unhappy, but it made the majority of the people very happy. And I don't believe, based on what the business owner has said, you'll even notice a difference as you're driving down the street, other than the fact that you're not able to pull into Kmart and go shopping. If you're just driving by, you're not going to notice the difference between what was there before and what's going to be there now. And this is the first step. We are working as a city to bring better jobs, higher paying jobs here for the future. And this is the first step. And, you know, one company comes in and other companies look at that and say, wow, there's a success story. I want to be part of that as well. And the city benefits from that, and the residents of our city benefits from that. So I was skeptical, but as we're moving forward, I think that this is a very good thing for the city.
Excellent. Yeah, Jess, I don't know if you have any thoughts or comments on that.
Yeah, I think just from that staff perspective, it's all about process and putting everything into a package so that the community can understand what's occurring, and the council can have as much information as possible to make those correct decisions. And of course, there's a lot of conversations that take place between residents and individual council members. I think Vice Mayor Lane, I think you didn't explain exactly what you did. I think you spent 3 days walking and knocking on every business and every residence that was in that vicinity, at least knocking on those doors, talking to those folks, get a better understanding of the immediate impacts of those neighbors, and as well as the community at large, because it does impact services in the community. But from staff's perspective, it was an application that came in from the property owner with the request to rezone that property from the community district or health district to a PD. And so that allows for uses like light industrial, but that PD process or a planned development process allows for the city to put stipulations in place. So to address, like you talked about, Mayor Sheehy, about the sight, the sound, and the smell issues that people were concerned about with some type of a manufacturing process as opposed to that retail process. So that's what occurred there. And I think that we were in the end, council made the decision to move forward with this. And I think that the message is sent that if to businesses like PMG that are operating in California or in other areas, that Havasu is a great place to do business. So we're hoping that we will attract additional jobs, and maybe it's retail, maybe it's manufacturing. In all locations, we can take a look at within the city. We have some opportunities for those businesses and for those services for our residents as well too. So we're open for business in Havasu, and we hope to attract more than just this, with more high quality, high pay jobs.
Yeah, and as Vice Mayor Lane mentioned, this is just the start. You know, it's job growth and diversification of our economy has been a top priority, and this is going to help in that direction. And then when it comes to the retail side of things, it's actually quite interesting. If you have some time and have any interest, of course, all of our council meetings are open to the public and are available archived on our website. You can listen to the conversation at the beginning of this portion of the council meeting and during this hearing. You can talk about some of the steps that the developers and owners of the facility went through to try and get retail in. That former site of Kmart was 100,000 square feet, which is a very large footprint. Many of the stores that we'd be looking for don't go to that size anymore. So I believe in that council meeting, I'd heard that Target isn't building anything over 40,000 square feet. So you could fit basically 2.5 Targets in this former footprint of what Kmart was. And as the Vice Mayor had alluded to, they're just not coming around. They're actually in a contraction mode where they're closing stores in different markets. So they really did go through a very thorough process that started several years ago to try and find other tenants and replacement tenants for that. So, you know, that obviously retail, we understand the needs of our citizens. Having those and those opportunities still exist should the right retailer come in, and the Partnership for Economic Development and the city stands ready to assist those businesses as they start to relocate to this area. So we're almost getting to the part of the program where we open it up to our citizens and start taking your questions. A couple of things real quick before we do that. I'm going to bring in Jerry Bracamani. Normally she's behind the scenes, but here she is joining us on the screen today. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you.
Jerry's going to help moderate it for those of you that have watched Coffee with the Mayor and City Manager for the last 5 months. I believe we've been doing it in this format. We meet on the first Friday of every month, and generally again in public, as I mentioned at the start of this. But it's very, very distracting to be on a computer in a room by yourself, talking into a computer screen and seeing all the comments that are going live real time. And so it gets me all over the place. I'm going to try something different this time. I have not seen any of the comments or the threads that have been going on. I've been focused on our conversation, but Jerry has been monitoring it, and she'll start asking us the questions, and we'll start answering them for you. But before we do that, I do want to recognize Councilmember Donna McCoy, who joined us this morning. Good morning virtually to Donna. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your strong leadership and steadfast commitment to Lake Havasu City. You're a true representative of the people, and it's good to see you this morning. And then we also have Councilmember-elect Nancy Campbell. Good morning, Nancy, and thank you for joining us. And we look forward to you joining us on the council at the end of November when you're sworn in to your seat. And again, congratulations on your election and welcome this morning. So I also, before we get going into questions, because we go into questions and then we have to time constraints and have to end fairly quickly, and I generally forget. But big thank you to Jerry Bracamani for making all of this happen. Thank you for always doing this and getting all the people that can zoom in, zoom out, and setting all the technology up for us. And then Steve Blake behind the scenes that is making sure that this is broadcast live with no issues, and then also available for citizens to watch later. So thank you to both of you for always having our backs and making sure that we can connect with our citizens.
Thank you.
That being said, I'll turn over to you, Jerry, and let's start answering questions.
Okay, well, first of all, Mayor, I'd recommend you go through all the comments at the end, maybe go back and look at some colorful comments and statements in there for you. The first question was from Gary Brook. Why do they have to have food? And this is related to the bars and restaurants for the shutter businesses.
Yeah, so as far as the guidance that's coming from the Arizona Department of Health Services, like a lot of this COVID related stuff, it doesn't always make sense. And we're wondering what and why and how come it all comes to be. You know, these are decisions that were made at the state level with really no interaction from local governments at all when it comes down to what the guidance is and what businesses have to do. I've heard a lot of folks say, you know, why in the world would I have to wear a face mask or a face covering when I walk into a restaurant until I'm seated at a table just to then take it off? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So, you know, I can't answer the question of why. I'm not a health professional and I don't purport to be, but these are the guidance that the Arizona Department of Health Services has put on these businesses. They've had to attest to it in order to reopen. And we're doing all we can to support these businesses so that they can remain open and be open. And that's really what our focus is. I don't know if Jess or Vice Mayor Lane, if you have any additional thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, absolutely. Does anybody in their right mind think that okay, I'm going to walk in the door to a restaurant and wear a face mask, and then I'm going to sit down at the table and I'm going to take my face mask off, and then oh, you know what? I need to go in and wash my hands. So I'm going to put my face mask on and I'm going to walk in. I'm going to wash my hands. And then I'm going to come back out and then I have my face mask on. And now I'm going to sit down at the table and take my face mask off. How many times have you touched your face during that period of time, taking your mask off and on? Yeah, we agree with a lot of the things are said and the guidelines that are put forward. And we don't agree with all of them. But we are trying to abide by those that we need to abide by and lead through example. Yeah, the mayor made a proclamation that said that you had to wear a mask when you went inside a business where other people are at. He didn't make a mandate that said if you walk into a restaurant, you have to wear a mask till you sit down at the table. That did not come from the city. We agree with you. It seems silly, but we're being mandated as well. We don't get to make all the decisions at this level. So I know that we are doing everything, and you've heard me say this, everything that we can legally, morally, and ethically do to keep the city safe is what we're doing. And do the mayor and I always agree on everything? We don't. but my job is to counsel. I'm a council member. I counsel the mayor, and then he makes a decision, because that's what we elected the mayor to do. And even if I disagree with something that he may do, he's still my mayor, and I supported my mayor before this happened, and I support my mayor now. I'm not a fair weather friend. I will tell him when I disagree with him. Some of the city staff has heard the mayor and I in some very lengthy conversations, but that's the way it goes. And Mr. Mayor, I just want to say thank you. And you're my mayor in good times and bad, and I will support you. And I know you were saying hello to all the council members, and I just noticed that Council Member Koch has joined us as well. So just want to say good morning to her as well.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. And welcome, Councilmember Jenny Koch. Thank you for joining us. Sorry I missed you at the beginning there, but welcome and thank you for your continued leadership for Lake Havasu City and all that you do as well. So Jess, I'll send that over to you if you have any additional thoughts on the question about restaurants and having to wear that or food, I believe is what the question was.
Yeah, and I think these are directives that are coming from the state, and I think that we talk about positivity rates, and Mayor, you shared that screen where we can track all those types of things too, and the importance of keeping all those three categories low so that we can keep our businesses here in Havasu open. These are not decisions that are made by anybody here at Lake Havasu City. These are decisions that are made by the state and state of Arizona and the governor's office. And there's certain requirements now that once these businesses can reopen, because we've met that moderate status, that they have to fill out that attestation form that we referred to earlier. That form it then gets posted onto the window, and they have to agree to do a few things. And some of those for the restaurants are what Vice Mayor Lane, what you described, that the employees and the patrons in a restaurant have to wear that mask unless they're sitting down. These are directives coming from the state of Arizona. With as far as gyms and all the other facilities that are businesses that are able to open up now that we're at the moderate status, based on the directives that are coming from the governor's office. So it's important to understand all those things. We're trying to mitigate and go through all these requirements and mandates, and businesses are trying to figure all this out as we're trying to figure this out too. And in the end, we want our businesses to be successful, and we want our residents to be safe. And it's going to take us kind of maneuvering through some of this silliness and some of these important decisions to make that so. But I think I just want to kind of clarify that kind of moving forward with the moderate status, the businesses have to attest to the state of Arizona and to the Department of Health Services that they will do put certain in place, or the state of Arizona will shut them down. And I think that's important for the residents, for the patrons to kind of understand that these businesses are doing certain things, so they aren't shut down, and as opposed to making decisions that they can make on their own. So I just want to kind of point that out too, because we're going to see a lot of this moving forward as we remain in this moderate status, and there's rules that apply.
Thank you. And a thought that just came into my mind is when we've been dealing and speaking with and working with and collaborating with the businesses in our community on how to get them to reopen and what strategies we can do to get to moderate. It's just a nice point to bring out to show the spirit and who our business owners are in Lake Havasu City. The main concern that many of these business owners had was that their employees were not able to be working. And so it's, we talk about getting businesses reopen and start the economy again, which is very, very important. But their main focus had always been on their employees and getting them back to work, which I think is just very admirable in discussing that with our business owners. So, all right, Jerry, next question.
Okay, I'm not sure, Mayor, if we can answer this, or maybe Leo later on, but Gary Brock also asked, who investigates whether or not the calls to the hotline are not just people wanting to stir up trouble for a business?
Yeah, great question. I'll give a quick answer from the Mojave County Board of Supervisors special meeting that occurred yesterday. And watching the stream, it is going to start from the Arizona Department of Health Services. They will start with the inquiry, and then will be sent over to Mojave County Department of Public Health for review and investigation. So through the local health department, they'll do that. And having that local connection will hopefully allow those things to be weeded through. So it's not just somebody that's trying to cause trouble for a particular business or segment. So, and as Representative Biasi mentioned earlier, that they have a few different opportunities to comply. And so if an inspector goes in and they're in compliance, then the case is just closed. If they aren't, they'll be asked and educated on what the compliance needs to be. And generally, like I said, speaking with most of the business owners that I have over the last several months, I don't see that really being much of an issue.
Okay, and then on top of that, a question came in, or a couple of them actually. Can you go to bat for our local businesses against the state regulations or county?
Yeah, great question. And the answer is yes. We can get in the game and we can be talking that through, and we have. So that's what we have been doing so hard behind the scenes for the last several months about how we get our businesses reopened and how can they stay open. So some of the things that we've done is working alongside Representative Biasi, Senator Borelli, Representative Cobb. They really are a strong force for Northwest Arizona, and they have been really spearheading different stakeholder meetings at the state level, getting business owners and customers together to be able to put together information for the governor's office as they're making these widespread decisions. So unfortunately, some of these closures are subject to state licensure. So if we were to say no, they don't have to comply, not in our city, we're not following that mandate, we would be putting our businesses at risk because their licenses would be taken away. In the case of a liquor license, it's a very, very, very costly license. And if that gets taken away, they can't operate at all. And so it may appear that we're not doing anything or going to bat, but we are, and we're working very, very hard for our business community so that they can safely reopen and get back into the game.
Okay, there was a question that came in from James Nutt. When can we do live music again? And then on top of that, when will the restrictions be lifted for the less than 50 people in a gathering?
Yeah, great question. That's one segment, and I'm glad that question came up. There is, we're reopening businesses, but they're in modified formats. So we have live entertainers that play amazing music throughout the tri-state area in our community, and they can't work. So that they still can't work. So it's so important that we continue to do what we can do until our businesses reopen fully and our children have in-person schooling. And I hate to tie things always back to the face covering or the mask. We just reopened yesterday. So let's ensure that we keep that down. And we just did it. Our percent positivity rate was 10%. It was 9.9987%. So had it even been even a 100th of a percent more, we would not be able to be open. So we need to continue to do what we can do to ensure that this happens. I also learned yesterday that if we have 2 consecutive weeks of going back into substantial spread, our businesses are subject to closure again. So I mean, it's serious stuff that we're talking through, and that's why we really have to keep focused and we'll let off when it's appropriate, but let's ensure that we're safely where we need to be, where folks can be there. So again, live entertainment, more to come. We're continuing to talk with the state on that. There's mitigation efforts and strategies for everything else. Now let's get some for this. There has to be a way that it can be done safely. I again don't know what that answer is, but we have been advocating for that. And also group gatherings over 50. There has been no additional guidance on that, and that's been since May that we have been pushing for guidance on what that looks like and how we can have more people in an area. And again, there has to be some mitigation strategies in this area too, with outdoor events and things of those nature. So we're continuing to push for that, and I just don't have any additional information on that. I don't know if Jess or the Vice Mayor have any thoughts on those questions.
No, like you said, Mayor, we haven't received additional guidance on what that looks like in terms of special events. I think the newspaper's run a couple articles this week and taking a look at some of these events, and we have a lot that's normally scheduled for the end of the year, and we're looking at these on a case-by-case basis, trying to do what we can to bring some events back to Havasu and bring some of that entertainment to our residents that's sorely needed. And so we asked the organizers when they approach the city about an event is put together a plan. What are you going to do to mitigate the circumstances? And large part those discussions, we come up with some great ideas and able to move a few of these things forward. But it's a day-by-day, case-by-case basis, and we're doing our best to try to bring some of those venues back if we can do it with under safe conditions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, and Mr. Mayor, thank you. Yeah, to answer the question straight out, we cannot have groups of more than 50 or more because that hasn't changed. So unfortunately, that means that puts a hamper on some luncheons, some dinners, some groups. I will say, for example, the neighborhood watch group that I belong to, we have 160 homes in our neighborhood watch. We used to get together for lunch every single month. And right now, we haven't been able to do that. And now that things are reopening, the restaurants are still only open to certain capacities, and they have to keep those groups down. So I'm looking forward to being able to have those luncheons, but I think we still have to keep it below 50 people.
Okay, the next question's on testing. Why are we testing people without symptoms? Seems you're fishing for positive results to get grant funding.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, there's no grant funding is available to testing at all. I believe Jess had mentioned a little bit earlier, positivity is one of the key metrics to open businesses, and we were right on the cusp to be able to open it. Jess, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit more on what that means.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think the importance of Blitz testing is just and the free testing is we had over the course of the last several months, at times there was testing that was unavailable in the community. So people that wanted a test would reach out, try to get a test, and they were told that they couldn't, or it was too expensive, or they had to wait a few days. And in some cases, those tests, if the residents could find them, the results wouldn't come back for some 5 to 10 days in some cases. So this is an event that allows that to happen. In terms of fishing for positive results, that's not the case. And I think that there's one school of thought out there that if you're doing Blitz testing, similar to what Maricopa County did with Blitz testing, where you could go get a test wherever you wanted, Maricopa County over the course of a month. And one of the schools of thought there is that if everybody's getting tested and if people are asymptomatic, we want to identify those folks. But for the most part too, if we're only testing for people with symptoms, that's going to have a direct impact on our positivity rate. So the more people that get tested, the more asymptomatic folks we find, but also we get a more of a truce on the number of positive cases per population, as opposed to the number of positive cases per those who are getting tested with symptoms. So that's the impact when it comes to positivity rates. We want all of our residents to be tested because we want that information, and then that information is reflected in the data that's shared by the state that directly directs them. The state directs the businesses on their ability to open and remain open. So that's why we advocate, and I'm advocating for this Blitz testing to take place, and hopefully we have a lot of people that sign up for the testing. I was one of those that signed up for the last Blitz testing. I wanted to get out there and make sure that I was in positive health. And I think that's something I'll be considering for the next test. And again, that's on the 13th and 14th at the Aquatic Center from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. I'm sorry, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Thank you.
And there is no grant funding or money based on confirmed cases or positive cases. That's not even a thing. So I'm not sure where you might have heard that or not, but we don't get funded at all for any of this. So what our main focus is that we have a healthy community, but we also can have our businesses open and an option for in-person learning for our students, should that be the choice of the family. So that's really where the focus is at. All right, Jerry.
Let's see here. Andrea Saunders asked, please open the aquatic center for pickleball. It's too hot to play outside.
Well, good news is, Andrew, there's good weather's coming. So we're just around the corner. We're just finishing up this hot summer. But Jess, do you want to give an update on the aquatic center reopening that is planned?
So the first phase after we got the back from the state allowed there's directives that the state has that we have to abide by as a city as well too, and those directives are with regards to water parks and other areas of the state for tubing rental companies. So the results from yesterday and the moderate status allows the city to take a look at the aquatic center. So our first step is to open up lap swim, and that'll start on Tuesday next week. And that goes from 5 a.m. Throughout the day, and people can show up and for $5 enjoy a lap swim at the aquatic center. And then we're making plans right now to what we can do to reopen the aquatic center for under limited capacity and listening to the directives coming from the state. So they don't come down and look at us in terms of closures. But so right now, lap swim on Tuesday, and then we're looking at doing something more so with the aquatic center moving forward, similar to what we did in the past, where we had a low capacity, increased the cleanliness, and all the things that are required.
Great.
Okay. This one's on the new Kmart building, or the new business that's going in the Kmart building. How can locals find out how to apply for employment there, and who are they?
A great question. So they're planning to hire local Lake Havasu City residents, and it's going to be a good company to work for based on the conversation that they had with us at the council when we talked about the rezoning. They're getting ready to hire somebody in HR, and in the next week or two, be able to put that out there. But it's PMG is the name. It's PMG Manufacturing. They have a facility already in California and Corona. And so I believe in the next 2 weeks or so, you'll have some additional information about how to apply and where to apply and what that might look like.
Okay. The next question's on the court building. Janet Grippy says tax revenues are likely to plummet due to a number of businesses that will never return. Why do we need a new building?
Yeah, so it has to do with the deconsolidation of the court, and that we're a tenant out at the Mojave County Court Complex on College Drive. We have access to one courtroom. We have 4 judges. So right there, you can see that there would be a space issue. We also, folks have the right to a speedy trial, and we have to be able to get those through, but we need the room to do so. So since we don't have the room, we looked at a variety of different options, as we discussed earlier this morning, whether that be an existing building that we could lease or purchase, building a building here on City Hall complex. But this became the most cost-effective way to do it, where there was already an existing building. And as Jess had mentioned, with the owners retiring, it became available, and it's going to save taxpayers, again, over $3 million total from what's already budgeted in the current approved CIP. Vice Mayor Lane, I don't know if you have any thoughts, or Jess have any thoughts on that question?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think we hashed that out pretty good. We have five judges that hear our cases, and we have one courtroom. There just isn't enough space at the current county courthouse, and we're paying for space, but there isn't enough space for us to even be able to do the trials that we need to do. And as you said, Mr. Mayor, people have a constitutional right to a speedy trial. And it's up to us to make sure that those rights are followed. And under this current situation, since the county said we are deconsolidating the court, we don't want you here anymore, we had to go somewhere, and we don't have a courthouse. So the only way to make this work is to get a courthouse. And so we looked for the least impact to the budget and to the taxpayers for the best options. And this just kind of fell in our lap. Like I said earlier today, unfortunately for one of our local businesses going out of business, it is still adjacent to our current properties, and you can walk from one property to the other and save the taxpayers dollars. So it's very, very much needed. And unfortunately, as a municipality, we do have to spend some dollars. That's just the way it works. If you want the services, and we are mandated by the Constitution to provide this service, we have to spend the money in order to provide that service.
Thank you. All right, Jerry.
The next question is regarding Body Beach. Dale Burke says, Body Beach, I believe, was just acquired by Lake Havasu City through Arizona State Trust Land. I would like a clear answer as to if access and the use of Body Beach will stay the same.
Yeah, so that action that occurred at our last council meeting was an extension of an existing lease that we have with Arizona State Trust Land. So the area that's commonly referred to as Body Beach, that most of us locals know it as, is not included in that lease. So this is basically the area of the new southern part of Rotary Park with the parking lot, skate park area, and then it continues on and heads south. Oh, perfect. So that is the leased area there that is highlighted there in blue. So you can see the parking lot, the skate park is, I believe, Jess's cursor is going over it. So that's the extension. So there's really no change. It's just an extension of the lease. It was due in March, and it was right during the height of COVID governor shutdown stuff, and it wasn't a top priority for the state trust lands at that point. So it was really just routine to extend the lease. And I believe it extended for, is it 10 years, Jess?
Correct. I believe it's a 10-year lease. Yeah, that's my recollection.
So hopefully that answers your question. So yeah, no changes, no plans other than what is currently being used and what folks use it for now.
Yeah, we talk about that the Body Beach, we call that lease, and that's an agreement that's been back and forth in partnership with the state land for a number of years. But we call that lease the Body Beach lease agreement. But it's a little misleading because it doesn't actually include the area that our residents would refer to as Body Beach. It's the area actually between. I touched my keyboard and hit mute. I apologize for that. But it's the area that the city leases, where we have the parking lot for the skate park, and then the parking lot that just directly east of there. That's the land that we're talking about on the screen. So we don't actually lease. The city does not lease the Body Beach area, what our residents refer to as Body Beach. But the lease agreement has been called the Body Beach lease agreement for many years. But it's so it's a little confusing, and I want to put that map up to kind of explain that.
Yeah, thank you. All right.
Another statement, I guess, in question, Mary Costa asked what's going on in the channel. She said lots of boats and jet skis flying through, water cannons being hit by. Is there a budget constraint? Why aren't the police monitoring the channel?
Yeah, so in the channel, we do have units that are just specific to the channel, and they're down there every weekend. It's a good crew that is down there. There is water cannons are against city ordinance, and the challenge is that no one launches one in front of a police officer, and so that's usually what our issue is. I myself am a voter that goes through the channel. I get very frustrated, not because I don't like the water, but usually my cell phone's out or my electronics aren't put away before that water cannon comes. It's very frustrating. So I know that in speaking with the chief, that they have increased compliance and education on the water cannon issue. As far as traffic in the channel, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to there, but the mooring is available in the channel and has been throughout the summer months, and it has really not caused a lot of issue. I don't know if there's any specifics you might have, Jess, on what that question might be referring to.
Yeah, no, I don't have any specifics. Water cannons are something that city takes very seriously, but it's when that police patrol boat goes through that channel, that's when those cannons aren't being shot off. So we're looking at different things that we can do to try to mitigate the use of those. But if there's obviously a no wake zone, and there's a behavior that we want to make sure that everybody can enjoy that space down there. So we're doing the best we can. If you have concerns or specifics, please reach out to my office or to PD. Love to address them. We want to make sure we're have a safe and healthy and fun environment out in the channel area. So we just needed people to cooperate and do the right thing.
Okay, another question came in on October events. Are we looking at the jet ski finals and works racing, and will those be approved or will they be held up?
Yeah, so when it comes to events, I'll let Jess talk about the strategy, but the IJSBA World Finals submitted a mitigation plan for COVID and is planning to move forward. So they have a pretty good plan that's going to mitigate those issues. And it's also on private property, so it doesn't have, doesn't need any permitting from the city. Jess, if you want to talk a little bit about the strategy on events.
Yeah, sure. And I think that first of all, for a special event application to come to the city, there's some certain criteria that are met. So I mean, if you're hosting a wedding on property or in a business, then that's something that you don't apply for a permit with the city for. So it's the use of city resources, it's the closure of streets, it's the use of city property. These are some of the things that trigger the need for a special event permit coming to the city. In terms of the IJSBA finals, that's located on private property. There was a permit that was submitted for the use of some parking area, and so that was the one caveat with regards to the city's involvement there. But we did engage and talk to the organizers and ask them, how they're going to protect the people coming for the event. It's not an event that attracts a whole lot of participants, and depends on how you look at it, good news or bad news in terms of the people that aren't happy with people coming to Havasu for the event. And bad news for those that want to see a really great event is that their travel is restricted, throughout the world. So with their numbers and their participation are down this year, but they're able to do it in a way that mitigates all the health risks, and able to put on a good event and keep the tradition in Lake Havasu City going.
Okay, Mayor, and I think a final close, maybe if you want to just reiterate the mask mandate. There's been a request for lifting the mandate and just making it personal choice. So if you want to comment on that, on the final words, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And so when it comes to the mask proclamation, one, I would encourage you to read it and see what it means. We're encouraging people to wear a face covering or a mask when they can't physically distance or they're in an indoor public place to help slow the spread. I did commit, as we talked earlier, that we'll continue to review it and look at the information that's coming on cases and our businesses being able to reopen based on the benchmarks that the state released. And I'm committed to that. I am a resident here in Lake Havasu City. I live here too. This isn't something that that I take lightly. We just are trying to ensure that businesses can remain open and we can get this behind us. And this is one mitigation strategy that is part of that process. It is not in for any other reason than to be able to ensure that we can continue to stay open. And it also provides some continuity, as we mentioned with Representative Biasi and several other questions throughout this conversation this morning, that many of our businesses are required, based on the attestation form from the state, that the state's requiring them to have face coverings or masks in their businesses for their customers, their employees, and the like. So where you go, that you have to wear one and you don't have to wear one, and it gets very, very complicated for people to be able to move through, and then also for the business owners. I've been saying since the very beginning, these times are so uncertain and it's so confusing. None of it makes any sense, and why we're all here. But we can't be divided. We need to stay together. This is our community. Let's stay focused. What occurred in May is everything reopened and everyone was under the impression that it was over. And all of a sudden it was a slight halt and everything closed back down again. That yo-yo effect of opening and closing and opening and closing is horrible for our citizens, horrible for our businesses, and it's just not a good look for us. So, I'm going to continue to monitor it. I will be the first to lift it when it's right and we can move forward on that front. But know that these decisions are not taken lightly. We remain focused and we're doing this every single day. So,
okay, thank you, Mayor. Sorry, I have to go back to the Body Beach. They want it clarified. The question was about access to Body Beach. The area that was acquired affects access to the beach. So he's not concerned with the beach itself, and he understands it's accessible to the water. He wants to know what's going on with access to the beach itself from land.
No changes.
That access is still owned by the Arizona State Land Department, and there's no changes there whatsoever. Same like it was in previous years.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you, Vice Mayor Lane, for joining us this morning. Again, thank you for all your work on the Resource Alliance. Thank you to our citizens for joining us. Again, thank you, Jerry, for moderating and getting that information in front of us. It's always a pleasure to serve you as your mayor. If I can ever be of any assistance, please reach out to me and we'll be able to talk things through. Again, I said it just a few minutes ago, but let's not be divided. Let's find our commonalities and be able to move forward as one community. And I believe that we can do that. Again, this is our home. This is what we have, and let's continue to make it better each and every day. Have a very safe and happy holiday weekend, and we'll see you next month.